All right.
All right. May I address the audience?
Please do.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm Michael Britt. I teach film and television here at CEC, and this is just a great. This is a big deal for us, for our kids. I mean, they're producing political debates. Isn't that great? That's just awesome. A couple things. If you need to get up, go use the restroom or anything during the forum, try to exit over here to the side. That way we won't see you. Cell phones. Please put them on vibrate or silence, if you don't mind. It's going to get warm in here. I'm going to cycle the air conditioner off. We can't have that running. As soon as I cycle that off, we're going to get rolling. We'll roll for about 20, 25 minutes, then we'll kick it back on and get set for the next candidates. Okay? Who's my floor director? Anthony here is my floor director. If you think you're experiencing some health difficulties or something, wave. And we will bring everything to a stop. We'll take care of you, do whatever we need to do. Okay. Anybody have any questions? All right. Okay. All right. If you'll take position there.
All right. You must be this tall to ride this ride. No, I don't.
All right. All right. So you need to show yours. You guys good back there? You good? We are ready on the floor when you're ready. Yes. Camera's rolling. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Newnan Coweta Chamber of Commerce political forums for candidates running in nonpartisan elections or appearing in partisan primaries on the May 22nd, 2018 ballot here in Coweta County. Tonight's forum is brought to you from the Central Educational Center, the studios here at CEC in Newnan, Georgia, and is brought to you by the Newnan Coweta Chamber of Commerce Voice of Business Committee. We have several partisan primaries or nonpartisan Board of Education races appearing on the ballot on May 22nd. So many, in fact, that the Chamber of Commerce is dividing its forums over 2 nights. On April 24th, we're going to have partisan primaries for Republicans in the Georgia House District 71 and District 72 races, and District 3, pardon me, I just messed that up entirely.
You did.
I did. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay, but
We'll pick up.
Do you want me just to start that sentence over? Would that be all right?
Back up.
To right there? We have several partisan primaries?
These forums are hosted by these.
Okay, I apologize to everybody for doing that. All right.
Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
These forums are being brought to you from the Central Educational Center, the studios here at CEC in Newnan, Georgia, and brought to you by the Newnan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce Voice of Business Committee. We have several partisan primaries and nonpartisan races appearing on the May 22nd ballot. So many, in fact, that the Chamber is going to divide its forums over 2 nights. On April 24th, we're going to have Republican partisan primaries for House District 71 and House District 72, and we're going to have U.S. Congressional District 3 primaries, both Republican and Democrat, for the seat currently held by Representative Drew Ferguson. Tonight, we have 4 races for Coweta County Board of Education, nonpartisan, and we also have 1 race for Coweta County Commission Republican primary for the second district. These forums are intended to give voters an opportunity to hear views from these candidates over these 2 nights. Thank you to our audience for being here tonight. Thank you to our candidates for coming out tonight and also for running for this important office. We appreciate you doing that and we appreciate your time. Most of all, I want to give a lot of thanks to the Central Educational Center, the video classes here at CEC. Michael Britt, director of this video class, and his students are putting these, hosting this and putting these primaries together over these 2 nights, or excuse me, these forums together over these 2 nights. And they've built this marvelous set. The Newnan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce greatly appreciates all of their attention tonight and all of their work in preparing for this. Also, I'd like to thank, again, our candidates for coming out and being a part of this. I also want to thank 2 other folks for coming. We have moderators from the Newnan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce. You'll meet those throughout the night. And of course, a lot of chamber staff and volunteers with the Voice of Business Committee who have organized this. Our format for these forums is going to be similar to Chamber of Commerce forums held each election year. Each candidate appearing tonight is going to be allowed a 2-minute opening and closing statement, and then our candidates will have up to 1 minute to respond to a series of questions. After the final candidate gives his or her answer to a question, a 30-second rebuttal will be allowed if elected. And one final note, the Newnan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce is a nonpartisan organization. It does not endorse candidates for office. Questions tonight have been submitted by Chamber members and apply equally to all candidates. We ask that our guests at tonight's forum also respect that neutrality and the dignity of this occasion in general by refraining from any demonstration for or against any candidate. We ask that you hold your applause or any show of support or opposition during our forum, even for issues that you feel very strongly about. Our occasion tonight is meant to give the candidates here a chance to speak for themselves as they seek election to these important posts. We appreciate our audience's respect for their opportunity to do so uninterrupted. And with that, we're going to start our forum and bring out our 2 candidates first for Coweta County Commission District 2. Well, if we are ready, we will now begin this evening's forum for Coweta County Commission, District 2, Republican primary, and I welcome Tim Lassiter, the incumbent, and Eddie Wilson, Jr., who face each other during the May 22nd partisan primary election. Gentlemen, thank you all both for being here tonight. Thank you all for running. We appreciate you. These candidates are vying for a 4-year term to represent the 2nd District, which covers western Coweta County, parts of southern Newnan, and the communities of Moreland and Grant Mill, among other areas. These candidates are again both running for this seat and will appear on the May 22nd primary ballot. I'm Dean Jackson, and as I mentioned earlier, we have a couple of other folks who will serve as moderators and timekeepers tonight. I'm joined by Doug Kolbenschlag, who will serve as a timekeeper for this forum, and we'll meet Michelle Boyd just a little bit later on during our Board of Education forums. As I said a little bit earlier, gentlemen, just to kind of give you the ground rules one more time, we're going to open with a 2-minute statement from each of you, followed by a series of questions with 1-minute responses, and an opportunity to the second person, or back to the first person, for a 30-second rebuttal if they elect. I remind both of our candidates to watch for signals from our timekeeper and confine your responses to the allotted time. You'll be signaled when you have about 10 seconds left, and if you do, don't just stop, but finish your thought if you could around that time and going into the end of that time period. So with that, we're going to start with Mr. Lassiter's opening statement. Mr. Lassiter, if you would, please tell us a little bit about yourself, personally and professionally, and tell us why you were seeking election.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Lassiter, and I've been honored to serve as a District 2 County Commissioner for over 11 years. I am a lifelong resident of this county, fortunate to be married for over 33 years to my wife, Lisa. We have 2 children, Julia and Jess, and love being a part of Coweta County. First, let me thank the award-winning Chamber of Commerce for hosting this forum here tonight at CEC. I remember walking these halls in the 9th grade at Central School, so fond memories here. Secondly, let me thank my family, friends, and supporters for all their support over the past 11 plus years. And then thirdly, let me thank all those that serve as elected officials in Coweta County. I know what it's like and how challenging it can be, but also how rewarding it can be. So thank you all. Before saying anything else, I've got to mention how proud I am of the law enforcement and public safety individuals that worked this past weekend and preparing for what went on in our county last Saturday. Chief Meadows and Sheriff Yeager, the cooperation between those two and other agencies throughout the state was something that we all can be proud of. And lastly, I've got to say the results speak for themselves. And it's a shame that the hate and bigotry that came into our county this past weekend was from people from outside, and it really does not represent the character of the people in Newnan and Coweta County. As a lifelong resident of Coweta County, I've seen many changes in the years that I've lived here. I hope and hope to continue serving as your county commissioner so that I can support business growth, job creation, and balanced residential growth as well, and continue to support county staff in all areas of public safety.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lassiter. Mr. Wilson, your opening statement, please, sir.
Thank you. The future of Coweta County and my fellow citizens is important to me. If elected to District 2 Commissioner, I will continue to dedicate my time and resources to preserve the rural character of the county, which we also love, and help make the innovative changes that the county will need to compete in the future. After serving the United States Army, a job with Delta Airlines brought me to Coweta County. And my wife and I decided to move from Clayton County to Coweta County in 1984. We thought it was a great place to live and raise our family. Our 2 daughters grew up in Coweta County and graduated from Newnan High School. We members of our church, community organizations, and we always like to live here and are proud to call Coweta County our home. I retired from Delta with 31 years of service, and in that time I managed many projects, large projects, and compiled budgets, and was known for bringing projects in on time and under budget. Over the years, I attended several commissioner meetings and watched the commissions in the paper and followed along. 8 years ago, I decided to run against Mr. Lassiter as a candidate. I thought my experience and knowledge at Delta Airlines in managing projects and budgets would assist the commission. I came in second in that race. As a conservative Republican, I will review the budget and check our spending to make sure that we spend money that helps Coweta County and the citizens of Coweta County. I will work to make Coweta County an attractive location for manufacturing and technology companies. We also need to support our existing industries so they can expand and continue to call Coweta County their home. I'm not involved in real estate. I don't own a business, and I'm independent in my decisions, so I think I'm totally unbiased in my decisions I can make for the county. So I want a clear and transparent government open to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. We'll go to our first question, and we're going to stagger this, so we'll flip back and forth about who starts first. Mr. Wilson, you'll go first on this question. Okay. Again, 1-minute responses. And really going to ask you to elaborate a little bit on seeking this office and thinking that through. Everybody here, everybody running for these races ultimately are regular citizens. They have families, they have jobs, and that sort of thing. And of course, the positions that you're seeking take a great deal of time frequently. And so the question I have is, since that position that you seek can take so much time and effort, if elected, are you prepared to fulfill all duties, both official and ceremonial, of this office?
Yes, I am. I took this job very seriously when I decided to run the first time. I'm very serious this time. I'm retired. I have the time to dedicate it, the time to meet with people, the industry that wants to come, the citizens of the county. It is a very big responsibility. I think we need to be aware of what's going on and plan for the future. Coweta County is in the growth mode. If we don't watch the growth and plan for the growth and do our land use, then we may not have the quality of life and all that we love to in Coweta County and moved here for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Laster, same question.
Absolutely. I have no issue and no problem with fulfilling all the duties as a county commissioner as I have over the last 11 years. My phone number's in the book. A lot of people will call and leave a message at my home and say, well, I didn't mean to leave it at your home. I was going to leave it in your office. They think we have an office as a commissioner, and obviously that's not the case. But I have no problem with that and glad to return calls every evening or whenever I get home and able to return those calls and return emails as well. So no problems with fulfilling those duties.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Wilson, rebuttal?
No, that's good. I also will fulfill the position, and I think it's an honor.
Thank you, sir. Then we'll go on to our next question. Mr. Laster, this goes to you first. One thing both of you have already spoken of just a bit in here, and of course it's very much on the mind of the Coweta County Commissioners, is the growth and development of our community and planning for that growth. And I'm thinking here particularly of residential growth and that sort of thing in the county. There were even recent public meetings held on rural integrity in Coweta County where local citizens shared their thoughts on growth and property rights and future planning. Where is Coweta County now in terms of its growth, and what direction do you think the county will and should take when it comes to future growth and development? Mr. Laster, you first.
I was glad to have been a part of those meetings and able to attend both of those meetings. At the second meeting, I even spoke and told particular things that I felt were important to the rural character of Coweta County. Coweta County has grown a lot, and it is a special place to me. It is difficult sometimes to balance the desires of all the individuals. However, we have a great staff. In fact, we're meeting soon individually in groups of up to 2 to go over comments that came up at that public comment section that we had in both of those meetings. And I'll just say, I think it's important that we try to ensure that we have areas where we, like the East Newnan area, the cotton mills, where individuals have put money into and developed and built new homes where there used to be old homes, first of all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Wilson, same question.
Thank you. I think Coweta County is beginning its growth again. The recession slowed our growth down, which gave us time to look and plan a little bit more what we wanted to do. We need to be proactive in development. Once we have development running wild, we cannot change it, so we need to be very out in front of what's going on. It's difficult to dictate what kind of buildings we can have, but we need to make sure that we are compatible with existing structures. Our quality of life and the spaces are why people moved here. And in the hearings that the commissioners had, it was overwhelmingly spoke that people had moved here for the rural character and they did not want to see it develop like the other counties. But it's a hard balance between landowners' right to sell their land and to get their value and restricting the value of, or what they can do with the land. But if we work on it and keep Coweta County a good place to live and plan ahead, I think it'll continue to be a great county to live.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lassiter, rebuttal?
I just wanted to add that a couple of the topics that I brought up that night were for the county to look at things that we have on the books now, like density bonuses, and see if maybe we need to tweak those, as well as giving incentives to individuals that want to redevelop areas, like mill villages, and the majority of those are in my district, in the 2nd district of our county.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson?
Mr. Lassiter is correct. There are a lot of things we gave when the economy was slow. We wanted to accelerate it. We need to take those, look at taking those out or removing them or changing them. Also, impact fees now are set to 0. We could raise the impact fees back up to help spread the cost of growth to all the citizens rather than the ones that are already here and we paid our dues. But there's a couple of things we could do. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. We're going to start with you next, Mr. Wilson, or first, this time, Mr. Wilson. We talked about the growth and development of the county. Let me talk specifically about economic development, ask your thoughts on that. What kind of economic development should the county pursue, you think, at this point, and how well are we positioned to pursue it? What can we do better? Mr. Wilson.
We need industry. We need growth. We can't survive without it, or it makes it difficult to survive without it. We need to get more manufacturing technologies and research and development type of companies into the county. I think they have better paying jobs. We bring a lot of resources into the county. We have industrial parks that are open. I think they're good. We have spaces to accommodate industry. There's workforce that you see here in all our areas that train workers for the businesses. So I think we're well poised. We have the interstate, the airport, and close to Atlanta Airport, so I think we have a lot of growth. I would certainly be willing to work as a commissioner with the Development Authority to recruit any kind of business that we can get into the county.
Mr. Lassiter.
I would continue to work closely with county staff, with the Development Authority, with the Chamber, and with members of the business community to ensure that current businesses have our ear on what we can do for them locally, the ones that are already here, as well as encouraging growth and new companies to come into our area. I think it's also important for us to plan well so that we have the infrastructure in place to be able to handle the additional growth. I think I know all the Development Authority members, as well as many of the Chamber members who have reached out to me in the past, know that I'll listen to what they have to say, review all our different options before making a decision and going forward. But I think that growth is something that's vital to the county.
Very good. Mr. Wilson, rebuttal?
I just want to echo Mr. Lassiter's thoughts about the staff. I think our staff of the county is great. They do a good job of doing the legwork for the commissioners and let us kind of make the decisions on the final, but they do a great job. Our existing businesses are the ones we need to nurture and grow. It's easier to grow one that you have rather than recruit new ones. And we have some really nice businesses in Coweta that have shown the growth.
Very good. Ms. Lassiter.
I'd just like to add one huge project that we're working on now. We would have never been able to be successful with having the Poplar Road interchange had it not been the cooperation and the collaboration of members of the Chamber, the municipalities, and our state and federal elected officials to be able to do something like that that can be so beneficial not only today but in the future.
Very good. We're going to start with you, Mr. Lassiter, for this next question. I'm going to ask it very broadly just to get any comments y'all might have on this. It's about the budget. Just what are the biggest budget and service issues currently faced by the county? How's the county currently handling taxation and spending generally? Mr. Lassiter, you first.
I think the biggest issue that we have had, especially the last 8 years, has been health care for our associates. It's amazing, and I know that members of the business community know very well that the amount of money that is paid for health care nowadays for associates, whether it's county employees or those in the private sector, has just skyrocketed. So that's something that's taken a huge bite out of the budget. Secondly, we currently resurface more roads in the county than we've ever done in the past. Part of the reason for that is to be able to use SPLOST dollars to be able to help with that in some instances, but also we just put it on the budget and made sure it's a priority to us. We all drive those roads, and we want to ensure that that infrastructure stays where it needs to be going forward.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson.
And Tim's right. Our staff is the most important asset that we have in the county. We need to look, their medical cost is going up just like all of us is going up, and pay raises are wanted. We need to look at ways to do that without impacting the budget too much. The road maintenance, we have over for 950 miles of paved roads in Coweta County, and as Ms. Lassiter said, that's a burden to keep up, but we have the best roads in this area. The infrastructure is important. The interchanges, we need another interchange coming up north of Newnan that we need to budget for. So we have a lot of things to spend money, and we're, I think, spending wisely for the citizens of Coweta County.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lassiter, we'll start now with Mr. Wilson, and it's kind of a follow-up to something that both of y'all talked about. I'm really basically going to ask you to talk a little bit more about roads and infrastructure. That's one of the biggest items the Coweta County Commission faces. You mentioned some very big projects that we've had, both ongoing and recently, like the new interchange at Poplar Road and others. Mr. Wilson, when you look at roads and infrastructure, what do you think the biggest issues are facing the county? I say issues, but just the biggest priorities facing the county right now.
Well, the priority that Mr. Lassiter started years ago is Poplar Road. It takes about 20 years or so to get an interchange built. We're looking at the Amlajack interchange in probably another 20 years. But infrastructure is key. If we don't have the good infrastructure for industry and our citizens to move, it will no longer be a great place to live. Our traffic on Bullsboro is out of control, or you don't go there at 5 o'clock, so we need to work on that. Our airport infrastructure is expanding. We're building industrial parks. The Madras connector to connect 29 to the industrial park will get trucks off of the road. I think that's all a benefit to Coweta County and to the industry and the citizens at large.
Mr. Lassiter.
I feel one of the most important things for us to concentrate on, like I mentioned earlier, is to remain, in order for us to remain prosperous, we need to ensure we're dedicating those resources necessary so that infrastructure, in particular in the area of transportation, is something so that businesses that are either located here now or that looking at coming here, or individual citizens like me, have the ability to properly move through our county. And lastly, if companies see that we don't have the infrastructure, first of all, they're either not going to stay here or they won't come here to begin with. And then secondly, if we ever get behind on things like that, it's difficult, if not impossible, to get caught up.
Very good. Mr. Wilson, rebuttal?
I think that's correct. Just be very proactive. I think it takes so long to get transportation projects through and funded. It needs to start way ahead of time. So,
additional comments, Mr. Wilson? I tell you, we're going to come to the conclusion of our forum tonight. I wish we had more time because I know there are a lot of good issues to talk about. We didn't even get a chance to talk about law enforcement, for example, or there may be issues that you have on your mind particularly that we didn't get to address tonight. Well, we're going to go into our 2-minute closing statement, and I would urge you, if there are some things that we haven't spoken about tonight that you'd like to, please address those in your closing statement. We're going to start with Mr. Wilson with his 2-minute closing statement.
Thank you. I think the quality of life in Coweta County is the most important for business and citizens. Our law enforcement is the greatest. As we said this last weekend, it was a non-event, which could have been a tremendous detriment to our city. With our local sheriff's department, EMS, and fire, the county people feel safe. The other transportation is the second thing. If we get gridlock and get behind the curve, then that's going to deter people from coming. So those two are one of the most important things. And of course, our proximity is, we have good transportation to the airport and the interstate. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Laster.
As a lifelong resident, like I said, there have been a number of things that have changed in my lifetime here in our county. My wife and I and our family has chosen to stay here for a number of reasons, mainly because of the good people of this county. It's something I'm proud of. It's something I'm honored to have served, like I said earlier, the 11 years that I've served. I did want to take just a minute to mention a couple things that we have been able to accomplish over the 11 years I've been in service. Some of these were done individually by the county and some in cooperation with state and federal. The Chattahoochee Bend State Park, the Browns Mill Battlefield, the Welcome Community Center, the Westside Sheriff's Precinct, the Newnan Coweta Airport renovations, Bohannon and Corinth Road Fire Station, Station Number 1 Fire Station, Grantville Library, Grantville Athletic Facility and Ball Fields, the 5 Points Roundabout, the bypass completion to Highway 16, the 16 and 29 intersection improvements, Poplar Road interchange. Like I said, we have the lowest ISO rating that we've ever had in the county. So that benefits all of us as homeowners when it comes time for insurance premiums to be paid. Secondly, our EMS service was just selected, not locally, but at the state level, as a #1 EMS service in the state. And thirdly, we have more deputies on our roads in Coweta County now than we've ever had. Unfortunately, that's necessary. So, I'm proud of all those things, and I would ask for your support and your vote on May the 22nd.
Thank you, Mr. Laster, and thank you, Mr. Wilson. The Newnan Coweta Chamber of Commerce appreciates both of y'all being here tonight. We also appreciate you seeking public office and putting yourself out there. We think you did a great job tonight, and good luck to both of you on May 22nd.
Thank you.
We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll hear from candidates for Coweta County Board of Education, District 1, Amy Dees and Sandy Hayner, moderated by Doug Kolbenschlag.
Education District 1, covering southeastern Coweta County. I'm Doug Kolbenschlag, and I'm joined by Michelle Boyd, who will serve as timekeeper for this forum. Welcome to Amy Dees, District 1 incumbent. Sandy Hanner accepted an invitation to participate, but had a previous commitment to attend a mission trip. She has recorded a statement for tonight's forum. Mrs. Dees and Mrs. Hanner face each other during the May 22nd elections. Following Mrs. Hanner's statement, we will have a statement and series of questions for Mrs. Dees. With that, let's start with Mrs. Hanner's pre-recording opening statement.
Hi, my name's Sandy Hanner, and I'm running for Coweta County School District number 1. I want to thank, first of all, Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for hosting this candidate forum. It's such an important gift to the community. And thank you to everybody there. I would be there, would love to be there. I had a mission trip that was already scheduled for this time. I filled out the questionnaire that was given to us, and I'm asked that you would look that over because I looked to carefully state my issues, especially since I couldn't be there. But there was one other question that wasn't there, and I wanted to answer that. And that is, why are you running for the school board? Why am I running for the school board? One, I absolutely love education. That's been my life for the last 30 years, being involved in many aspects of education. Two, I love children. I love the fact that we have this most wonderful resource that our nation has to offer and the gift that they are to us, and it's our responsibility to put our input into them. And so 3.5 years ago, I was at a conference, and during this conference it was talking about different national issues of importance, national security, things like that. I stepped up to ask a question. What can we do to make a difference? And there was one man there that I highly, highly respect. His name is General Jerry Boykin. And he looked right at me and he said, I'll tell you what you need to do. What you need to do is you need to run for office. You need to run for school board. Your vote will make a difference. And because of that, I positioned myself. It was a call I felt that I needed to heed. I positioned myself, and at this point while I'm running, I invite you to please consider voting for me, and I thank you.
Well, thanks to Mrs. Hanner. Now, Mrs. Dees, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally, and tell us why you're seeking re-election. This is your opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
Absolutely. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting me this evening. It's such an honor to be here at the CEC with so many great things going on with students. I credit my opponent for attending a mission trip. I as well has served overseas in Wales and on mission as well. I think that's great. I think that public service requires a lot of your time. My name's Amy Dees. It has been stated. I've served on the Coweta County School Board since 2010. I ran for the vacated seat of Steve Bedrosian. My children have attended public school here. My older 2 daughters are proud high honor graduates of East Coweta High School. My son is a junior at East Coweta and a football player there. My youngest attends East Coweta Middle School and will soon be joining her brother at the high school, much to my chagrin. Time flies. I've been happily married for over 25 years. I proudly served this district since 2000 when my youngest daughter entered kindergarten. I've served on PTOs at Poplar Road, Willis Road, East Coweta Middle School, and have chaired numerous committees at the high school as well. I've served on the Title I district-wide committees as well as the county-wide elementary redistricting committee for the county. I'm a little disappointed. I have to be very direct. Anyone that knows me knows I'm going to speak very candid. I take pride in my seat, and I welcome a challenge. I understand everyone's busy. I understand there was a pre-commitment to a mission trip. I get that. But part of this job is attending graduations and meetings and community involvements and ceremonies. I believe that was stated earlier with the other 2 candidates. Ms. Hanner ran 2 years ago against Frank Farmer, our at-large member. She did not come to the forum then either. She has missed 2 opportunities to let her voice be heard. If she's interested in this district seat, I ask her to come and challenge me. I understand children learn at different levels at different rates. I get that. I understand. I have 4. I respect parents' decisions on how they want to educate their kids. You can choose to homeschool, private school, however you want to do, but I chose public school and Coweta County schools, and I've been very, very proud of my children and this district.
Great, thank you. On to the first question. Please elaborate on what you would bring to the office that you are seeking, and if elected, are you prepared to fulfill all the duties, both official and ceremonial, of this office?
That is the question I was looking for. Exactly. I am. I have served since 2010. It is my honor to serve. We have done numerous things in the county. I have seen our first woman board chairman, Ms. Sue Brown, who is here tonight. We have seen so many great things. Our first African-American chairman, Mr. Winston Dowdell, who is also here tonight. We have seen our superintendent grow. He is the 2018 Superintendent of the Year. I am very proud of that. I attend numerous events. Teacher of the Year, I will be emceeing that next week. I am proud of our students. I'm proud of our staff. We have a National Merit Horace Mann winner with us tonight, Dr. Melissa Smith. She is here as well. Our teachers are nationally and state academically known. I'm proud of the fact that I get to make decisions that help keep them in the limelight.
Great, thank you. On to question number 2. One of the most important duties of the school board members is to oversee and approve an annual budget for our school system. Please speak to that process and talk about our school system's current financial state.
We currently have no debt. Let me repeat that. We currently have no debt. That is not from my 8 years on the school board. Those are for the school board members who came way before me. But they saw that we were going to be fiscally responsible. We have been audited by outside sources. We pass every single time. We are an award-winning school system. We foresee changes that are coming. We set our budget aside to do that. We are fiscally responsible. We are completely transparent. Our school board meetings are the second Tuesday of every month. Haven't even seen my opponent until she decided to run. She could have come any time to those school board meetings. Minutes are posted. We are transparent, or we hold tax millage rate hearings. We hold budget hearings. She's never attended. So I am proud to say that we are fiscally responsible. We have no debt. We are going forward with building a middle school in the next 2 years, and we're excited to see the growth.
All right, thank you. The next question is about student performance in Coweta County schools. How are our county schools doing academically in terms of academic opportunity and student success?
First of all, I won't mention her name because I don't really know the rules on students, but the valedictorian at East Coweta High School this year will be attending Harvard University in the fall. To me, I think that speaks volume on the students that we turn out. Our teachers are 110% behind our students, and the board must be 110% behind them. Academically, we are achieving nationally and state level. I love to follow Twitter, Instagram. I love to follow everything to see where our kids are going. We compete in band and music competitions across the state and nationally. Our junior ROTC teams compete nationally. Academically, we are sound. We are in the middle of milestones testing this week. Not a fan of state standardized testing, as some of my school board members aren't. It is what we do to honor the state requirements of us, and our students are flying through that. Mine is one of them. She is an 8th grader. She has not had test stress. We did have a little bit of that last week. But she is like, Mom, it's easy, I got this. And our students have it, and they are showing us every year that they've got it.
Great. The next question. The Coweta County school system is a large school system in terms of enrolled students, facilities, and student services like transportation, cafeterias, and school nurses. How are we doing in terms of school services and infrastructure, and what are some of the most important planning issues going forward?
We meet collaboratively with community around the community with Chamber of Commerce. We work with them as well. We look at long-term planning. We know there is growth. We know that it is coming. We are planning on that. We have had outside folks come in to do our data to see where we're going to be as far as growth goes. We've spent hours at our board meetings in June and different workshops looking to see where that's going to be. Our infrastructure is sound. From our custodians to our bus drivers to our teachers, we are a sound system. We work with the main goal being, the objective being, our student success. If you have any other agenda, if you come to that board seat with any other agenda besides the success of our students, that could harm our infrastructure. I want our infrastructure to be sound. We are going to, we have asked, the superintendent came to us and asked to hire SRO officers. We are in the process of doing that as well for school safety.
Well, that's a great lead in for the next one. Student safety and school security is an ongoing concern for our school system, even more so since the tragedy in Parkland, Florida. How are we doing to ensure the safety of students, and what more needs to be done?
Let me tell you, I'm a mom. My son sits in that building. My daughter sits in that building. I have absolute, complete confidence that any staff member, when faced with an adversity or anything that would happen, they would protect my child. We have gone to great lengths. We are redoing the entrances to our schools. We have put in the doors that you can not necessarily have to be buzzed in, but to get in the main door, but you do have to be buzzed in to get into the school system. That is coming across the county. We are aware of this. I put on my post or blog recently that we remember the Columbine incident. We had Rachel Scott's brother, Craig Scott, come in 2009 to speak to East Coweta Middle School students. This is something we have been aware of, and it's sad. It is a sad day in public education when we are protecting our students. But Coweta County is doing 110% to protect those students. Our superintendent asked us to hire the SROs. We are doing that. We are going to continue that. We are keeping our kids safe.
Okay, so that's going to wrap it up, except for your closing statement. So you have 2 minutes to close it out.
Thank you so much. First of all, let me just say that my own daughter, Ansley Dees, is a proud product of this class right here. She has stood where you guys have stood. I'm incredibly proud that you guys are producing this debate. I like to brag on students. That's part of the things that I do. She has done extremely well. She is in El Paso, Texas now. Missing, I'm sure, Mr. Britt, because he was a tremendous mentor for her. But I think what these kids don't want to tell you is they're Emmy Award-winning students. This is a program that I'm extremely proud of for them, and thank you guys for doing this tonight. I want to challenge Ms. Hayner. Because she's not here, I'm going to be respectful. But it is my understanding that she chose to homeschool all 4 of her children. I respect that. But if my public school system was not your first choice to educate your own children, then why should my voters let you lead this district? I'm going to be very outspoken about that. To sit in this seat, you must have a passion for public education. We just learned that when we are Newnan strong, we stand unified. Our classroom teachers and our students are the very faces of that adversary. We are diverse. We are working forward, but the biggest thing is we are unified. We are unified in student success. There is no time for division. We must remain strong. We must remain diligent to ensure that our students are very successful and can attend Harvard and our Ivy League schools. And I can assure you they can. They are highly competitive. Thank you, and I look forward to your support on May 22nd.
Well, that concludes her forum. Thank you, Mrs. D and Mrs. Hanner, and good luck to both of you on May 22nd. We'll take a break now, and next we'll hear from the candidates for the Coweta County Board of Education District 3, featuring Beth Barnett and Jan Horn. Thank you. Welcome back. We will now begin this evening's forum for nonpartisan election for the Coweta County Board of Education District 3, covering the northern part of the city of Newnan and parts of northern Coweta County. Welcome to Beth Barnett, incumbent, and Jan Horn, who faces each other off during the May 22nd nonpartisan election. We will open with a 2-minute statement from each of you, followed by a series of questions with 1-minute responses and the opportunity for a 30-second rebuttal. I remind both of our candidates to watch for signals from our timekeeper over here and confine your responses to the allotted time. We'll also stagger who begins first each time. We will start with Mrs. Barnett's opening statement. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, both personally and professionally, and tell us why you are seeking election.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight to engage in a conversation with you about the future of our county and our school system's role and how that future pans out. I appreciate your being here tonight. I was appointed to the school board 2.5 years ago to fill the unexpired term of Harry Mullins. I believe I was appointed because of my commitment and service to my community, particularly my commitment and service to the one thing we all here tonight share in common, our local educational system. I've served on the school council at both Newnan High School and Elm Street Elementary, where I also served on the PTO, twice as president. I've served on the school system's parent advisory board and was involved with its mentoring program. At the state level, I've served on the State Department of Education's Parent Advisory Council, as well as the department's Committee of Practitioners. I've been heavily involved in the life of First Baptist Church of Newnan by having served on both the Finance and Personnel Committees. Additionally, I've served on the City of Newnan's Park Commission since 2009. My husband Lee and I have 2 children. Clark is a junior at Mercer University and graduated from the Coweta County High School system. Jack is a sophomore at Newnan High. As a parent of a child in the system, a homeowner, and a business owner, I appreciate the balance of needs the school board must maintain. While the focus of the teachers and administrators is primarily on providing quality education, it is up to the school board to support those specific educational efforts while embracing the challenges of representing a diverse constituency, while also meeting the workforce and economic development needs of our community and state. Thank you, and I look forward to our conversation.
Mrs. Horn?
Yes, well, thank you. I think this is a great service to the community to let people who may not ever get a chance to meet us get to hear what we have to say. I've been living in Coweta County for the last 5 years. We moved here from Fayette County, where we lived there for 30 years. I've run a small business for 22 years, and I've been married for 38, and 3 of my grandchildren are either in Coweta schools now or will be going, depending on their age. I recognize the importance education plays in the future of our children and the community. One of the things that I was noticing on my thing, it's just said that I do videos for my pastor. Well, probably 6 out of 3,000 were for my pastor. I do an awful lot of things. I'm at the Capitol a lot. I videotape an awful lot of committee hearings that have to do with education. So I see a lot of what's going on at the state level, which directly affects us. For example, I was down there when they brought in Stanley Kurtz, who is a professor at Harvard, when the college board wanted to change our advanced placement history. And they had rewritten it so that it wrote out all the good things in our history. And even Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech wasn't even in there. Had they not brought in Stanley Kurtz, that's what we would be teaching our kids right now. And those are the kind of things that we need to have people that are at the Capitol who can see what's going on, so we have a chance to correct something that may be wrong. I mean, legislators do get things wrong sometimes. And so that will give us a chance to correct things when we can see how that will directly affect our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to go into the questions now. They're 1 minute with 30-second rebuttal. And since we started with Mrs. Barnett before, Mrs. Horn, you get to start us off. First question, please elaborate on what you would bring to the office that you're seeking. Most importantly, the position you seek can often take a great deal of your time and effort. If elected, are you prepared to fulfill all the duties, both official and ceremonial, of this office?
Absolutely. What I plan to bring to it is, like I was just saying, I plan to be at the Capitol to talk about, to be able to bring back the things that are happening in Atlanta that we need to know about. There's a lot of things that once they've happened, you can't really go back and fix them. So if you're in the process, if you're in there while the process is going on, you have a chance to do that.
Mrs. Barnett?
Well, I plan to be here in Coweta County. And while the things that happen at the Capitol do affect us, and that we will follow any rules, regulations, laws, I believe my time is best served on the local level for the position that I would be fulfilling, giving of my time, visiting schools, participating in the ceremonial, as well as meetings, called meetings, and any other times when I'm needed.
Okay, Mrs. Horn, rebuttal, 30 seconds.
Well, we do need to know what's going on in Atlanta. It directly affects us. And we can say that we will do whatever they tell us to do, but what if it's not in our best interest?
Okay, Mrs. Barnett, 30 seconds.
I still believe that if we're serving on the local county Board of Education, that our primary focus needs to be the students of the county and of the school system.
Okay, on to the next question, and Mrs. Barnett, you get to start at this time. So question number 2. The Coweta County school system is a large school system in terms of enrolled students, facilities, and student services like transportation, cafeterias, and school nurses. How are we doing in terms of school services and infrastructure, and what are some of the most important planning issues going forward?
Well, I'd like to think we're doing very well. As most of you know, we are the school system is the largest employer in the county with 3,300 employees. There are almost 23,000 students. Our buses run millions of miles annually, and we have lots of things in place infrastructurally to help in that regard, such as the new transportation facility that was recently completed. The growth is obviously something that we look to. We've had demographic studies to help us determine if the growth is going to be sustained. And so there is overcrowding at some of the middle schools. We're looking to alleviate that with the addition of a middle school. But I think we're doing well when you consider the number of students, the services that we provide to all students, the opportunities that are afforded every student. I think that we do a great job with a very big task.
Okay. Mrs. Horn?
Well, I think they're doing a great job. I do. But when we spend $5.5 million of SPLOST money to redo the football fields, then we're saying that our teachers are paid enough, that they have enough in their classroom, and that we have enough security at our schools, and our bus drivers are paid well.
Okay. 30-second rebuttal. Mrs. Barnett?
Well, the SPLOST dollars are specifically for certain capital projects. So those are not going to be projects that can be used to pay for teachers' salaries or for utilities or those type of expenses. Our bus drivers just recently received a pay raise. I believe we're competitive with our teacher salaries. So I can appreciate that that facilities is something that may not be thought of as a high priority, but I do believe that we have to maintain the facilities and improve the ones that we have.
Mrs. Horn, 30 seconds.
And I agree. As a parent of an athlete, we definitely need to look at that. The problem is we spent double what Cherokee County spent for exactly the same thing. That's the problem I have.
All right. Thank you both. On to question number 3, and Mrs. Horn, you get to start this time. The next question is about student performance in Coweta County schools. How are our county schools doing academically in terms of academic opportunity and student success?
Well, we are ranked one of the highest in the state. I mean, we are doing very well. But there are things, again, that are coming down from the Capitol that if we're not aware of, it's limiting our teachers' ability to do their job, and they're very frustrated. So, yeah, we got to pay attention to what's going on up there. While this stuff is being formed, we can have a voice in the process, which can directly affect our community. So, yeah, we need to be involved in the community, but it needs to extend beyond that.
Mrs. Barnett?
I would say we're doing quite well. Our graduation rate is 86%, which outpaces the states at 81%. Our SAT scores and ACT scores outscore the state averages as well. And we also outperform the national average. We do well with our college and career ready performance indicator, again, with that being higher than the state average. So I do believe that we have exceptional students and we're doing well in the different ways that we measure them academically.
All right, back to you, Mrs. Horn.
Oh,
Yeah, rebuttal?
see, the Mark Whitlock is brilliant. He has created something here in Coweta County that is going to create so many kids that are ready to go to work when they leave high school or college. So this is brilliant, really.
Ms. Barnett, 30 seconds.
I would echo Ms. Horn's statement. I think we have wonderful opportunities at CEC as well as our high schools and other the elementary and middle schools as well. I think that children can graduate from here and they can go to Ivy League schools, they can go to small private colleges, they can go straight into the workforce, they can go to a technical school, they have the option to go into the military. So I think we do a great job of creating students who are ready for the next step.
Thanks, both of you. It's on to question number 4. And this one we're going to start with you, Ms. Barnett, for 1 minute. What role does the Coweta County school system play in our community's economic development and the prosperity of our county generally?
Well, I think that people move to Coweta because of the school system that is here. I think it definitely helps with the growth. I think that people want to live in a community where there is a successful school system. I think we have become the envy of a lot of the systems on the south side just because of the way we have handled things, particularly during the recession. And I just think that we are head and shoulders above a lot of places right now.
Okay, Mrs. Horn?
I completely agree. Absolutely. But again, if we don't know what's going on in the Capitol, we don't know how they're trying to tie our hands down here. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we had Senate Bill 401 this year. That was directly affecting the parents and the students' ability to choose what track that they're on, that gave the state the power to intervene in that. So, yeah, these things are important. They're very important.
Rebuttal?
Well, we operate under a strategic flexibility waiver, so we have a lot of latitude in the way that we operate as a system. So I believe, again, we do what's best for Coweta and our students, regardless of maybe some things that we're hearing otherwise.
Mrs. Horn?
And the Capitol has tentacles down here. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, and we'll be starting with Mrs. Horn this time. Question number 5. Student safety and school security is an ongoing concern for our school system, even more so since the tragedy in Parkland, Florida. How are we doing in ensuring the safety of students, and what more needs to be done?
Well, I don't think school resource officers are enough. I mean, there needs to be security cameras, but again, spending double for those football fields than what Cherokee County did to a company that has massive amount of lawsuits. There's all kinds of reports online about it. Half of that money, had we spent it wisely, could have been spent for more security for our schools. So that's more of a capital improvement. I mean, I read the stats of what it says that the SPLOST money could be used for. So there were a lot of other things that it could have been used for than just, I mean, it's just, it's unnecessary spending. If half of that would have done the job, then the other half could have been spent for security.
Mrs. Barnett?
Well, I'd like to first address safety, and then we'll go to the turf if I have time. Safety has obviously been a primary concern of mine as a parent and as a citizen. I'm proud of the steps that the board has taken just recently to ensure the safety of all of our sons and daughters by funding additional school resource officers. As a result of board election, qualified law enforcement officers will be on all campuses in our system on a daily basis to protect our students and staff. I remain fully supportive of actions that will help protect our students and give them a security presence during our instructional time. We have many components of the safety plan that we have for the county school system. There are detailed emergency plans. There's a district-wide safety committee. We have conversations and communications among the sheriff's office, the police department for Newnan, as well with the superintendent. Schools do emergency drills. SWAT teams do exercises in our schools, and there's several other security measures.
All right, Mrs. Horn, 30 seconds.
All those are great, but if you don't have some type of electronic surveillance outside the perimeter, it makes it a little more difficult to catch someone before they can actually come up there. It's great. We've got a great police force. We've got great people that work here. That's not the issue. The issue is providing them more tools to do their job well with.
30 seconds, Mrs. Barnett.
Just over the last several years, $2 million has been spent from East Blost to outfit all campuses with multiple surveillance cameras. And so I think that addresses the concern there. So I think that's one piece of the overall safety plan.
All right, that will bring the questions to an end, and we'll start with the 2-minute closing statement. So we'll jump back over to see who opened last time. Mrs. Horn did. So I guess Mrs. Barnett, you'll start with the closing statement.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to reiterate what I said in my opening statement. Our conversation, excuse me, our conversation tonight was about the future of our county and our school system's role in how we get there. There is nothing more important to a high quality of life, economic opportunity, prosperity, or civic vitality than our public education system. Nothing. It is the cornerstone of our collective future. The key is figuring out how do we get to that future. And while test scores must continue to improve, innovative teaching methods be explored, and curriculum continually be fine-tuned, what is needed in the individuals you elect to the school board is something else entirely. And that is a commitment to our shared values of hard work and opportunity. These values form the foundation of our schools, our students, and our community. Constant, focused dedication to the concept of stewardship remains my vision. Stewardship is defined as taking responsibility for the survival and well-being of something that is valued. I value my community. I value my business, which supports my family and others. I value the schools my children have attended. I value the school system that nurtured them as well as me. A bright economic future for Coweta County and her residents is grounded in the success of our school system. And its well-being isn't defined by a singular focus on test scores or graduation rates or tax rates or school security. It requires an understanding about how all of these issues interact with each other and a willingness to move our school system forward, no matter who gets the credit.
Mrs. Horn?
Our state school superintendent is working tirelessly to do even greater things in Georgia. If we're there, we can influence. We can be an influence with what will best help our community. Coweta schools are among the best in Georgia. We have great teachers, motivated students. Our SAT scores are higher than the state and national averages. But we should always seek to improve upon success. We can't expect to maintain this level if we're not engaged and aware of what could impact us. The school system is the largest government expenditure in the county. There has to be checks and balances. And if there's no one there who is willing to hold people accountable and question how money is spent or how the process is of choosing which vendors are there, then the citizens, the teachers, and the students are not being protected. Thank you.
All right, well, that concludes our forum. I'd like to thank both of you for participating tonight, and good luck to both of you on May 22nd.
Thank you.
With that, we will take a break, and then we'll hear from candidates for Coweta County Board of Education District 4, and it will be moderated by Michelle Boyd. Thank you.
We will now begin this evening's forum for nonpartisan election for the Coweta County Board of Education, District 4, covering parts of northeastern Coweta County. Welcome to Linda Mink, incumbent, and Norman Lundeen, who face each other during the May 22nd nonpartisan election. I am Michelle Boyd, and I am joined by Doug Kolbenschlag, who will serve as a timekeeper for this forum. I remind both our candidates to watch for signals from our timekeeper and confine your responses to the allotted time. We will start with Ms. Mink's opening statement. Please tell us a little about yourself, personally and professionally, and tell us why you're seeking re-election.
Okay. Thank you so much to the Chamber for sponsoring this event tonight. This is such a huge benefit to all the citizens in our community, and I'd like to also thank my opponent, Mr. London. I am a native Texan. As we say in Texas, we like a little pepper sauce in our greens, and so some opposition and different viewpoints is always good. It makes things interesting. Why am I running? I have 3 grandchildren in this system. My oldest granddaughter has graduated from the Coweta County school system, and she is now earning her doctorate. She's in Detroit, and she's teaching, and she's also earning her doctorate. So the children is my main motivation. And as far as me personally, I am moving into retirement. I've been a banker for the last 30-plus years and a chief underwriter, specializing in multifamily housing. My territory was the U.S., U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico. I'm looking forward to staying home. So that has been a big achievement for me. But as far as me personally, I have a dog, I have 2 cats, and 3 wild and woolly, very active grandchildren that I absolutely adore, and they have lots of friends. My grandchildren don't travel in 1s and 2s anymore. They travel in herds, and I'm sure there's a lot of parents that can relate to that. But I've been living in Coweta County for 14 years. I chose to live here, as did my sons. They were raised in Fayette County, and we all chose to be here. And I'm looking forward to hopefully another 14 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lundeen, your opening statement.
Thank you, Coweta County Chamber and the Central Educational System for hosting tonight's forum. My wife Ann and I have lived in Coweta County for 26 years. I've been a registered architect since 1972. During that time, I've been a city planning director and served in many local, state, and national boards. I retired as a lieutenant colonel after 35 years in the Air Force and Air National Guard, performing master planning and urban design studies worldwide as an Air Force civil engineer. Throughout my career, education has played an important role in my success. Teachers, friends, and mentors have suggested pathway courses and midpoint corrections that have greatly sharpened my skill sets. Coweta County has an outstanding school system because of the support it gets from the school superintendent, the Board of Education, and the business community. Coweta's strategic plan outlines the vision and mission statements developed with input from the school board, teachers, students, parents, and the community, which centers on the enrichment of learning for every student to graduate and provide a better community for all of us. I respectfully request your vote for me in the May 22nd election for the Board of Education District 4 seat. My education and career accomplishments will assist me in making the many informed decisions required on the board.
Thank you. We will now begin with our questions. I remind you each have 1 minute to answer and a 30-second rebuttal. The first question will go to Mr. Lundeen. Please elaborate on what you would bring to the office that you are seeking. Most importantly, the position you seek can often take a great deal of your time and effort. If elected, are you prepared to fulfill all duties, official and ceremonial, of this office?
Absolutely. I have gone and read all of the policy statements that are on the web. I've looked at the requirements of the board and of the superintendent of the schools, and I'm very prepared to go out and do all the things necessary to go into the schools for graduations, for ceremonies, because those students really want to have the support of the board members, to know that we support them not only financially, policy-wise, but to be there on that a very important day when they graduate or have other important things that happen to them in their school life. Being retired, I have the time to spend doing that, and I fully intend to support our educational system to the best of my ability.
Thank you, Ms. Mink.
Okay. Yes, especially now that I'm moving into more of a retired status with my career. I think in the last 3.5 years that I've served on the board, I believe I have missed 6 meetings, 2 due to illness and 4 times due to business travel. But the one thing that has worked beautifully is on the Friday before the school board meeting, after I read the agenda, all the attachments, to have a conversation with Dr. Barker to make sure that I'm very clear on what is being voted on, and to be able to express those opinions prior to the meeting after having read the agenda. Now, with regard to ceremonial, I would like to address that. I've taken a lot of flack from some of the other board members for not being at every function. Those honors that go out, whether it be a graduation or special events, are earned by the students and the teachers and the parents who work to help this child. I want 150% of the focus on the teachers, the parents, and the students who did the achieving, not me.
Thank you. Do we have a rebuttal? Okay, we will move along to our second question. We will begin with you, Ms. Mink. The next question is about student performance in Coweta County schools. How are our county schools doing academically, in terms of academic opportunity and student success?
Well, from a testing perspective, yes, I think we're doing very well. I stay in communication with our state school superintendent, Richard Woods. Richard Woods ran on a student achievement platform back in 2014, and I think he's doing an outstanding job, even though he's had a number of challenges with regard to implementing his platform. And I was also, need to just extend a huge thank you to him, because he recently endorsed me to serve another term and asked the voters to please vote for me, because I do support his agenda and what he's trying to do. As far as how we're achieving, this CEC Center is a classic example of some of the things that we're doing as a community and our business leaders to open the eyes of our children who have an opportunity to experience a career path, that they have a natural talent or they have a unique interest in that. They would have never had that opportunity had it not been for our CEC. We can do better. We can do a lot better, but we're by far, compared to our surrounding counties, we're number 1.
Thank you. Mr. Lundeen.
I agree, we're number 1. I had the opportunity to sit down for a couple of hours with Dr. Barker and to go over all of the things that the students and the school system is doing. It's not just CDC. This is the premier of millions of dollars of equipment that's in here that the industry is sharing with us at no cost to the taxpayers, so that the students can be prepared to step into a job working with the equipment that they have right here in the studio. I looked at the dentist. I looked at the Caterpillar equipment in welding. I had an opportunity to spend an hour over here also, and I'm so very impressed by what they've done. But all the records that Dr. Barker showed me, you know, with the schools, the testing that we're doing. We don't go by Common Core, we go by what the state mandates to us in curriculum and in testing, and we're doing very, very well. On the national stage, what I don't want to see happen is what happened in Oklahoma and Tennessee, the photographs that we saw. All you have to do is start slipping on your tax revenue, and we could be in there, and it'll take decades to get us back. So we need to keep up what we're doing. Thank you.
Ms. Mink, do you have a rebuttal?
No.
Okay. We will move along to our third question, and this will begin with Mr. Lundeen. The Coweta County school system is a large school system. In terms of enrolled students, facilities, and student services like transportation, cafeterias, and school nurses. How are we doing in terms of school services and infrastructure? And what are some of the most important planning issues going forward?
The budget that I went over with Dr. Barker shows that we are doing very, very well across the board. We don't have any debt. And that means that the planning that we're doing for each one of these elements is balanced. As far as what we need to do in the future is to keep going, be inventive of what we're doing. What I hope to do is bringing to the board is some of the outstanding things that I've done as an architect. I've already been over here talking to some of the people about how I can bring some of that to not only to the classroom as a help, but also on the board to be able to think innovatively, be fiscally responsible, and make sure that we have the student as the most outstanding thing that we're looking forward to, making sure he reaches the community and helps us out, because that's our future. What we're doing here on an everyday basis, not only in the CDC, but in the college education tracks and all these other things that we're doing for our students. Thank you.
Ms. Mink.
May I ask you to repeat the question, please?
Yes, of course. The Coweta County school system is a large school system in terms of enrolled students, facilities, and student services like transportation, cafeterias, and school nurses. How are we doing in terms of school services and infrastructure, and what are some of the most important planning issues going forward?
I think that one of the most important things that we have to keep in mind is that right now, for today, it's good. It's really good. But our county is getting ready to grow and expand. And we're going to, with any growth and expansion from, if you study the history of what's going on with some of the other metro Atlanta counties, it is going to be very diverse. It's going to attract a very diverse population. The needs of the parents, it isn't just public education that we're going to be looking to solve for solutions to solve problems, to provide diversity in education. We're going to be looking at charter schools, more charter schools, private schools, faith-based schools, homeschoolers. We have a growing population in this county of homeschoolers. Montessori schools. Dr. Ben Scafidi, if you care to do any research, has been heavily involved in the Georgia 2020 project. It is a model of something that they've actually done in Arizona. It has reduced public education costs to the taxpayers, improves test scores, and offered a wide variety of educational sources for the people in their districts. Thank you.
Mr. Lundeen, do you have a rebuttal?
Yeah, I think we need to concentrate on what we're doing here and continue, because we've got an outstanding system. It's working, it's well balanced. The growth that's going to come to us is going to come in industrial growth, and it's going to come in new developments. And we need to look at the infrastructure to make sure that our schools are there thinking in advance, so that, because the school is going to take anywhere from 5 years to plan to another probably 5 years to get it built. So we have to be able to have future visionary looking at all of these things to make sure that we're prepared when we get there.
Ms. Mink, do you have a
I
rebuttal?
believe that that is my concern as well. And instead of putting all the burden as far as education of our children, instead of putting it all on the public school system, what I'm talking about is creating a diverse methods that parents can choose to meet the best needs of their child. I mean, I'm watching it going on with my neighbors and their children. Some of them are now in charter schools, some are in faith-based, some have remained in our public school system. It's going to require diversity of thought and action.
Thank you. The next question we will begin with Ms. Mink. What do you see as the top 1 to 2 strengths of the Coweta County school system? What do you see as the top 1 to 2 challenges?
I think our top strength is our teachers. We are extremely blessed in this county to have phenomenal educators. The other thing that I think is a tremendous strength is, well, it's our children. I mean, if you go back and you look at the situation that occurred here where we had a local coach who fell under attack several months ago, it was our kids who went to his defense. They were the ones who organized a prayer vigil for him. And I have to sit back and I look at the character of our teachers, the commitment that they have, and I look at the personal integrity of our kids. The challenges, the 2 challenges, is keeping up with the growing needs that we're going to be facing. That would be number 1. And number 2, in looking at how do we create an atmosphere where there's constructive conversation and with diverse opinions and coming up with intelligent solutions. That is, I think that's a big challenge.
Mr. Lunding.
Teachers are our greatest asset, besides the students themselves. But there are challenges coming down that are coming at us from a national level that we need to be looking at. I talked about cyber intelligence. It's a national thing that's coming down to us from all over the world. And when we're talking about innovative things that we can do in the school system is to be able to develop those courses, because there are intelligence agencies coming into Fort Gordon, possibly another one coming into the Atlanta area. We need to be able to fill those slots as well. Just like we've been able to switch around from airplanes and the drone program. Years ago in the Air Force, we used to look at people that could put their thumbs together because that's the way we designed airplanes. Today, we're doing drones. You fly out, and what we're doing is getting model airplane flyers, because they have to be able to go up there, look at it, and as their plane comes back at it, it's a whole different dimension for them. Those are the kind of innovative things that we need to do as a school system to look down to the future to make sure we're in sync with where the nation is trying to go also.
Ms. Mink, do you have a rebuttal?
No, I do not.
Okay. In the essence of time, we will go ahead and move to closing statements, and we will begin with Mr. Lunding.
Thank you. The Coweta County Board of Education District 4 elected position is non-paid and especially non-partisan by policy. Members are expected to act as a team on the board as it develops policy, financial review, and projects with the superintendent and school staff. Support of the existing outstanding school system is my primary goal. To help solve the upcoming responsibilities to our students and school programs will require sound thinking and fiscal responsibility from all the board members. I think my skill sets mesh perfectly with the board's vision and leadership role to maintain Coweta's outstanding school system. I'd like to just add a few more things within my time, and it has to do with what happened this past weekend. We saw the integrity of our leaders support the First Amendment, even though there was a lot of controversy on both sides. I look at the loyalty of our people to come in on Saturday, our children and our parents to support the merchants and come in and on Saturday come in and buy things because they know that they were going to be losing revenue on Sunday. And especially to the courage of our law enforcement people. 700 strong. That's much more than we have on our police force now. But through leadership, they were able to get people from other localities to come in and help us out and make sure that we had a peaceful demonstration. And when it was all over, by 4 o'clock, I came back from Athens, where I was for the weekend, and there wasn't a piece of yellow tape or anything sitting on that street in that park. I commend the people of Coweta County for doing an outstanding job in a very difficult situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mink.
First of all, I'd like to again thank everyone for being here tonight, and I'd like to thank the people who are going to be watching on their Newnan channel, our community channel. In closing, there are a number of things that I really wanted to talk about because this is the conversation topics that I've been having with parents, teachers, and even students. Several things that are predominantly on my mind is, and we alluded to this earlier about how important it is to stay actively involved at the state capitol and even in Washington. We had a piece of legislation that went through this year, and I went in and sat in on the committee hearings. The legislation was postured and drafted in order to remove the possibility that one of our coaches would go through what he went through in our school system and our students regarding, you know, prayer after a game. I'm watching very closely on the federal level, and I do communicate with our state school superintendent on certain issues. I wanted to talk about vouchers, that I'm definitely in favor of vouchers. I'm looking at coming up with a way for us to do tax abatement for our senior citizens. Our tax digest is going to go up in 2020. Home values are going to be increased, and our seniors are gradually being taxed out of their homes. That's a real problem that we're facing. So we've got to look at alternatives to that. I don't want our community to be known as an unfriendly, senior unfriendly community. The other thing that I'm concerned with regard to going through our, what is going on in our schools as dictated by Washington, the CCRPI process, testing, and now they've added the PBIS, the Positive Behavior Interaction Systems. And the hands, our teachers' hands are being tied with regard to what they can and cannot do to control disruptive behavior in the classroom. That feeds into safety. In closing, I would just like to say that not everything is wrong, but not everything is perfect. Complacency breeds a rubber stamp mentality. And we can't afford to be complacent anymore. Not everything is perfect. And if you don't keep working to make it perfect, then you're going to get into trouble. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This concludes our forum. Thank you to Ms. Mink and Mr. Lundeen, and good luck to both of you on May 22nd. We will take a short break and hear from candidates for Coweta County Board of Education District 1 at large, Larry Robertson and Lorelei Scott. We will now begin this evening's forum for nonpartisan election for the Coweta County Board of Education District 1 at large, which covers all of Coweta County. Welcome to Larry Robertson, incumbent, and Lorelei Scott, who face each other during the May 22nd nonpartisan election. We will open with a 2-minute statement from each of you, followed by a series of questions with 1-minute responses and the opportunity of a 30-second rebuttal. I remind both of our candidates to watch for signals from our timekeeper and confine your responses to the allotted time. We will also stagger who begins first each time. We will start with Mr. Robertson's opening statement. Please tell us a little about yourself, personally and professionally, and tell us why you're seeking re-election.
Thank you, Michelle. I'd also like to thank the Chamber for sponsoring this wonderful event. I also like to thank all the elected officials that are present with us this evening. Also, I'd like to thank all the candidates who are running for election during this important bipartisan election. I appreciate what you do for the county. I also want to say it's a great day to be a citizen of Coweta County after the events of this weekend. There's no describing the amount of pride that I felt in seeing some of our leaders in the county and the leaders of our law enforcement, who both of which, Chief Meadows and Sheriff Yeager, are products of the county school system. So I appreciate what they did and all the 42 agencies that assisted. I am a lifelong resident of Coweta County. Again, my name is Larry Robertson, lifelong resident of Coweta County. I am married to my high school sweetheart. We've been married 40 years, going on 41. We've got 2 beautiful daughters who are also products of the Coweta County school system, both of which graduated college in 4 years. They did it the right way. Natalie, my oldest one, graduated University of Georgia. Melanie, my youngest one, graduated from Georgia State, so we're very proud of them. As far as political experience, I was appointed to fill the vacant District 1 seat vacated by April Parker in August 2012. I was elected for a 4-year term in 2014 to the at-large seat. And what we do as a board, and I'm very proud of this, we act as a board. There are no personal accolades. We act as a board. And I hope that you can find it in your heart to cast your vote on May 22nd for me to continue my service to the Coweta County school system and the students of Coweta County for another 4 years.
Thank you. Ms. Scott, your opening statement.
My husband and I of 44 years, we lived in Coweta County for 13 years. Prior to coming to Coweta County, we lived in Kansas City, and I was employed with a gentleman. We owned a corporation, Heartland Food Services. We owned and operated Wendy's restaurants. We were a franchise. And I worked with Mr. Lapine for 24 years until he retired and sold the company in 2005. And then in 2005, Sigma of Georgia recruited my husband and I, came here to work. I was the sales manager over the entire Southeast region until I retired in 2009. When I retired in 2009, that's about the same time that the Atlanta Public School test cheating scandal broke down. And that is what got me involved and appreciated education. I followed that, and I have had a passion for education since that time. I believe that I do have some talents, and I have leadership and vision abilities that I can come and bring to the rest of the board members and work with them collectively, politely. and I think we can all work together to just be open to changes and look at the challenges that we have with our education. We have a great school system. Coweta County is top rate, A-rate plus. Excuse me. I think when I retired, my public speaking abilities left me there. Coweta County schools have a top A rating overall. It's a phenomenal school. We've got teachers that are passionate And they're very well prepared to teach our children. Excuse me. I think we have a lot of strength in our education. Okay. We just have a lot of positive things in the Coweta County school system. Thank you.
Thank you. We will begin with our questions, and we will begin with Ms. Scott. The first question, please elaborate on what you would bring to the office you are seeking. Most importantly, the position you seek can often take a great deal of time and effort. If elected, are you prepared to fulfill all duties of this office?
Yes, I am. I'm totally prepared. As I had mentioned to you earlier, I am retired, so I have the time and I have the health and the energy and the passion to get out there. I would be prepared for all the board meetings. I would be prepared to go to all of the ceremonial and the graduations, special interest that kids, science projects, certain things that, are participate at each school. I think they need recognition. I would enjoy visiting all of the schools, spending time with teachers, spending time, with parents and observing and listening and taking the feedback back to the board for joint conversation and joint decisions for the future of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson.
Yes, by all means, I will put in the time that it takes to serve on the school board. I think my record, my attendance record at monthly meetings, call meetings, honors nights, all of the ancillary events that go along with the school system, I think it speaks for itself. What I bring to the board, I think, is a partnership between the community and our school and administrators. We are a voice, or I am a voice for the administrators and the parents in the system. We work carelessly to provide positive learning environments for our students. And we believe that as learners, we see students as volunteers in their learning, and we treat them accordingly. And we try to provide learning opportunities to help build positive role models, which is really what it's all about, to build positive role models, mothers, fathers, family members, soldiers, community leaders, to help bolster the solid foundation that our community has built.
Thank you. Ms. Scott, any rebuttal?
No.
Okay, we will move on to our second question, and we will begin with Mr. Robertson for this question. The Coweta County school system is a large school system in terms of enrolled students, facilities, and student services like transportation, cafeterias, and school nurses. How are we doing in terms of school services and infrastructure? And what are some of the most important planning issues going forward?
I think we're doing very well from an infrastructure standpoint. If you look at the number of students we have almost 23,000 students, and we move these students to school and back home every day through various transportation means, primarily school buses. We feed these students. We have what amounts to restaurants in every one of our school systems. If you go into our cafeterias and look at the inspections on these cafeterias, you'll see nothing but the highest marks in these areas. As far as planning, I'm part of a joint transportation committee put together by the county, and one of the things that we talked about the other day are the two driving forces behind growth in the county, in Coweta County, is our schools and our proximity to the interstate. So I think we have to continue to build schools. We have to put infrastructures in place. We have to look at our transportation, and that's what I'm doing on this board, is I'm a voice for the school board and the school system on this transportation committee. So I think that's two things that we have to do: continue to improve the system and take a look at the growth and such in the county.
Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Yes, I think we have a little bit of a problem in the school system in terms of retention and hiring bus drivers. There's a need for that. I know that We've bought new buses. We've got a huge building and prepared for all the maintenance. Everything is just great and satisfied and, you know, to prepare for that. But I think the biggest problem that we have is retaining or hiring bus drivers. As far as preparing for growth, I think the infrastructure is great. We've got a new school coming up at out in Cannon Gate area. And I know that there's going to be about 600 new homes coming up at the Poplar Crossings. So I'm sure that the Board of Education is already preparing for the amount of students and the planning and the transportation and the routes, et cetera, and the growth in overall. I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Robertson, any rebuttal?
One of the things we recognize that we have some issues retaining bus drivers. I think we do a good job hiring them. One of the things that we're doing is we're increasing our salary structure for our bus drivers so that we're competitive with other systems in the area. I think right now we're about 20 bus drivers short. We hope to get that up. Our primary goal of our bus drivers, and I want to add this, is to get our kids from home to school and then back home safely. And we do a very good job of that. They may be late getting there, but we do a good job of getting them home safely. So we're well aware of that, and we're working on that.
Our next question, we will begin with Ms. Scott. Okay. This question is about student performance in Coweta County schools. How are county schools doing academically, in terms of academic opportunity and student success?
I think Coweta County is in a very good position academically and as far as student success. Such of the avenues that we have, such as this CEC, and we've got the Arts Center, we've got that first apprenticeship ever. Coweta County schools, I say we, because I am part of Coweta County, but the school system did an excellent, outstanding job of coordinating this apprenticeship. It's the first in the country, and the Coweta schools have implemented this program. It's so train and work, and it guarantees employment in the trades, in the different businesses. I think we might have 3 businesses in the county that participate with that, but it's just an amazing opportunity that these kids have. And the graduation rates are high. We've got the advanced placement classes. There's some kids that could graduate with dual, degrees. It's just it's a phenomenal place. There's not a whole lot of opportunity in terms like that. They're just doing a wonderful job, I think.
Thank you. Mr. Robertson.
Here's some statistics on how our students are doing. 2017 SAT results, we are 49 points higher than the state of Georgia on SAT. We're 19 points higher nationally. 2017 ACT results, we outperformed state and national averages on the college entrance exams. Our graduation rates are at 85.5%. The state of Georgia is 80.5%, so we're outperforming the state of Georgia. We outscored state averages on the CCRPI performance index. Milestone exams, we're doing very well on those. One of the things that's very positive is not so much test scores as we're building positive citizens for our community. And again, I go back to this weekend and I saw a lot of people involved in the events of this weekend and the planning, not just what happened Saturday, but everything that led up to that. And many of those are coming out of our school system and some of the surrounding systems. So we're building positive citizens.
Ms. Scott, any rebuttal?
No.
Okay. We'll move along to question number 4, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Robertson. Students' regular course of study in school are supplemented by several programs, including the Central Education Center and the Nixon Center for Performing and Visual Arts, for example. How are our schools doing in terms of providing expanded and advanced opportunities for students?
You mentioned CEC. We're doing very well. I was on a committee, myself and Ms. Barnett and Amy Dees on a committee not too long ago where we met with a lot of people from surrounding counties, and they were looking at what we're doing here at CEC and what we're teaching our kids and some of the alternative learning opportunities that are available not just for high school kids, but even for middle school students here at CEC. So it's very positive, and I think somebody commented in that group that there's nothing like CEC anywhere in the state. I was talking to the guy that, I forget his name, he's over the welding program, and in 2 years, someone could come into the welding program here and go out and get a job welding anywhere. I talked to a parent, he says, you know what, my child has no student loans to pay, and he's making as much money as I am. And this is going through the welding program here at CEC. So I think we're doing very well as far as providing alternative learning opportunities for our students.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
I think the CEC is truly a gem that the school system has, and it's not only preparing the students that could produce this is amazing, but like Larry said, you know, they can produce somebody that can go out and what was he? Well, a trade. Okay, there's trades, and they're always looking for more. They're implementing more programs. They are truly looking to meet the needs of the employers in the county and what type of workforce they need and what values and skills that they need to have to fulfill those positions with the employers in the county. And it's a constant work together. I think the Nixon Center, you know, we talked about that a little earlier, especially with the opportunities that we have with the Train to Work program, the apprenticeship program, I'm sorry, excuse me. But overall, I think we've got a very good system, great opportunity for all the students, all of them.
Thank you. Mr. Robertson, do you have any rebuttal?
Yes, I do. One thing I didn't have time to hit on was the Nixon Center. And if you've never been to the Nixon Center, I promise you, you won't see anything like that in any of the surrounding counties. I've been to a lot of school events, choral events, band events, teachers' retirement dinners, Teacher of the Year banquets. It's just a phenomenal facility, and not just for the students, but for the citizens of Coweta County. We've been to concerts there, and it's just an outstanding facility.
Thank you. We will now move towards our closing statements. Ms. Scott, we will begin with you.
Okay, thank you. We talked a little bit about the success of Coweta County schools that we have and the professional teachers and the passionate that we have, and the school's graduation rate and the overall A rating for the school. It doesn't lessen that on top of mind, we've got issues like security. And when I'm talking about security, I'm not necessarily talking about the bad guy or the active shooter that wants to go in and harm our teachers and our children. I'm also talking about some safety and security in the classroom. We've got incidents of students who are disturbing the class, whether it's throwing a chair or verbally abusing somebody or disrespect to the teacher. They've got to be removed from the class, and they need to be held accountable. I'm hearing from parents and students that there's no accountability. Now, I assume there's got to be something done. But should I be elected to the school board, I would recommend that when there's an incident that disturbs the classroom, our kids are there, the ones that are there to learn, it's not fair to them to have to deal with this as well. So I think there should be a documented incident report each time, and I think that the board member whose district that particular school is in should be copied on the incidents, and that board member could go and follow up with the school principal and parents and just ensure that there has been action and accountability has been taken to prevent the child from disturbing classes again or whatever the further behavior was. I also want to talk about Common Core a little bit. I've never met anybody that likes Common Core. And I would advocate that we somehow can get this repealed from our schools. Is my time up? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson.
If elected to this position, is four bullet items that I put on my questionnaire I filled out. The first one is to keep our students and staff safe and secure from their home to schools and back home. Recent events that we had here in and around our school system, we handle according to policy. I had a student that brought a handgun onto the campus, and once the administrators found out about it in a very, very short period of time, they had the situation secure according to policy. So it worked very, very well. We also had a telephone threat made from Savannah, and we were able to handle that with communications according to policy and worked very, very well. We're working on securing our entrances, school resource officers. All of that is the answer. It's not one thing that's going to make our schools secure. It's all of that, and it's all of our administrators working together. I'm going to continue to be an ear and a voice for the community. I know a lot of the teachers, I see some of the teachers here tonight. I want to continue to be an ear and a voice for the teachers, administrators, and the community. I want to maintain strong, sound financial systems within our school systems. We've got an excellent financial group at Coweta County. They just won an award with the state. So very, very sound. We've got money in reserves, and you've heard this before. You're going to hear it again. We're debt-free. How many times have you heard someone, you say, how you doing? Well, I'm debt-free. If you're debt-free, that's a great thing. We've got money in reserves, so hopefully we won't have to dip into that, but if we do, it's there. And I want to continue to develop and strengthen policies for our school system, because when it's all said and done, it's all geared toward the success of our students. And again, Coweta committed to student success. That's what it's all about, and I want to continue to work toward that.
Thank you. At this time, this concludes our forum. Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mr. Robertson, best of luck to you both on May 22nd.
Thank you.
Now I'll turn it over to Dean Jackson at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd, and thank you, Mr. Coldenschlag. That ends our forums for this evening. I'd like to take just a moment and thank our audience for being a terrific audience. We appreciate you coming out tonight. We'd especially like to thank the Central Educational Center and all the students here at CEC in video production classes for putting this on tonight. We'll be back on April 24th with state and federal races appearing on the May 22nd ballot. Most of all, I just want to take one more moment and thank our candidates for public office who appeared here tonight, running for the Board of Education and running for Coweta County Commission. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you taking this important step for running for office in your community. Until then, we'll see you.
We're going to do it one more time.
All right.
The audio is clipping at the end.
Okay.
It's too loud. Okay. We're just going to do one more for safety. All right, sorry.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
One more for safety. All right. Everyone, can you sit down for just one more moment? That's all right. We're good? All right, quiet on the set. Yeah, we're good. Closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Thank you for moderating these forums tonight. And Mr. Colvin Schlag, we appreciate your attention. Also appreciate the Newnan Coweta Chamber of Commerce and the Voice of Business Committee for organizing these forums. Want to take just a moment as we close our forums tonight and say also a thank you to the Central Educational Center and the students here in the video production classes who have put this on. We appreciate your attention. Thank you as well to our audience and to our candidates who are running for office and who have come here tonight. One more note, this finishes our forums for April 23rd. We're also going to have forums on April 24th covering state House race partisan primaries and Congressional District 3 race partisan primaries. But thank you for joining us. We hope to see you soon.